So today we're going to be bringing you a tutorial on how to add embellishments to your song and your mix, and how to make it seem more full. If you feel like your song is kind of missing something, then this is the tutorial for you. If you're at all levels, maybe you learned something from this. If you're an expert, things you didn't know, or if you are a beginner and you're wanting to learn the basics of these things, which is kind of the theme that this is going to run throughout the video. I'm a producer myself, so I will be handing you over to my trustworthy producer friend, who is a singer-songwriter and arranger. Her name is Abbie. She'll be bringing this video to you right now.
Okay, so you've just seen two versions of the song. You've got the fundamentals of it and then everything with the decoration on top. And that's what we're going to teach you today. We're going to teach you how to bring your mixes to life by adding little decorations and different techniques you can use within your audio or MIDI to make your pieces sound better. Now, the first technique I'm going to teach you is reversing audio. It's a really easy and simple trick to learn, and it really brings your mixes to life. The first thing I like to use it on is a cymbal. Even if you don't have any drums in your pieces, adding a cymbal is a really good atmosphere, and it's another layer which makes everything sound a bit better. It's really good at building that tension and dropping that tension throughout your piece. You can just grab a cymbal crash audio file from one of your Logic library loops, or grab it from online. Any sampling really is perfect. So this is an example of long crash cymbal in the chorus of the song. Really good, and it really does bring the chorus to life, but it doesn't build that tension as we go into the chorus. So what we're going to do is, if you click on the track you're doing, go over to where it says region and click on reverse. It literally flips the whole of the audio file backwards. Then drag it back where you want it. Usually I would recommend doing it just before you come in on the chorus. Then if we add a little fade to the beginning of it as well, it doesn't matter how long the fade is, it really depends on what kind of music you're writing. And then let's listen again. Really bigs up the song, really makes you anticipate what kind of chorus is going to come in. So that is a really good technique to use, and I do recommend using it on a lot of your percussion. I've also used it a little bit in the chorus on a snare. So I've got this snare here. Sounds a bit boring at the moment. Very boring. So what we're going to do first is add a bit of reverb, because we all love reverb in our songs. So I've just set up a little bus with a Space Designer reverb on it. Already it sounds bigger and probably better as well. So we're just going to reverse that again, just like I showed you before. Go to your reverse button, and then let's listen to it again. Turn it down a little bit. Just adds a bit more flavour, just makes it sound a little bit different and a bit more intriguing as well. So much so that you kind of forget that it's even a snare. So that's just our typical sort of space designer reverb. And again, we're adding reverb onto it as well. It really depends on what kind of song you're making. You know, what kind of space you want your whole song to sound like, what genre you're recording in as well. So now we've got a nice little transition into our chorus, and we've also got a little bit more flavour in our chorus as well. But personally, I also like to have something a bit more intriguing within the verses, especially when you go into your second verse. So now we've got a nice segue into our chorus with the reverse cymbal, and we've also got a couple of little snare reverses within the chorus. Now it's time to move on to the verse, and I particularly love using reverses in the verse because it just makes it a bit more interesting. In the verse, I have this lovely little piano. Again, it just builds up that tension and just makes all the instruments sound a little bit more interesting in your song. I've also put a little tremolo on it, just so it's going between each of your speakers, just again creating that sort of atmospheric sound, something that's really going to bring the mix to life. So as you can see here, we've got the original piano audio that I bounced out from MIDI, and then we've got the reverse ones on top. So as you can see, you've got the waveform of the normal piano, which then finishes up on the same chord as well. So the chord plays, goes down and builds back up again, which kind of keeps the beat of the song going, keeps the pump of the song going, even if there's not a lot of percussion in it. Just overall making the verse a lot more interesting. And then the final place that we've used it on is in this little solo at the beginning of our Logic project. Now this originally started off as a guitar solo, and I'll just get the original one for you. So the original guitar solo sounded like this. A very nice guitar solo, but we wanted to make it sound a bit different. We wanted to make it sound a little bit more interesting. So we're using our technique of reversing it again to just make the song sound, you know, a bit more intriguing to the listener. So once again, we hit that reverse button, reverse all the audio, and then play it. Play it again. Doesn't sound like a guitar at all, but it sounds so much more interesting, and it's really, as part of the song, really builds up a lot more. Again, you don't have to use a guitar, you can use anything you want. It's just adding a bit more flavour to your mixes and to your arrangement. Another thing that I did with this audio file is I cut it right in the middle before that last little chord comes in, and I just put a speed up and slow down on it just to make it, again, build up that tension, really make it rise and fall. It keeps the listener intrigued the whole time. It just takes your mixes from one stage to an even better one. So lastly, I did a little stretch of the audio file. As you can see, this last note here goes on for a long time, and you simply do that by holding down, putting your mouse right over the waveform and holding down the options key, and then you can just drag out your wave to make it a longer note, a shorter note. It's important to keep in mind that this doesn't always work. If you stretch it too far, then the audio file does sound very warped and a bit robotic as well, so you have to be careful when stretching out your audio files. But if we listen to it as it comes in, again, building that tension, building that rise into the chorus once again. So the next technique I'm going to be teaching you is using ambient sounds within your mix. Personally, it's one of my favorites and is used a lot more commonly, especially in today's lo-fi hip-hop sort of genre. Specifically, it helps the artist communicate the vision of their song to their listener, whether that be forest, rain, fire, the sea, all sorts of things. Usually I use the sounds that Logic supplies you with, but you can also go online and pay for sounds as well. There's loads of atmospheric sounds out there online. One specifically that's really great is if you sign up for freesounds.org. It comes with a lot of different atmospheric noises that you can download straight onto your computer. So as I said, I'm just going to be using the EXS24 today, and if you go into it and go down to the factory instruments, textures, ambient environments, there are so many that you can use. We've got city and traffic banks, comedy noises, forest crickets if that's one of your favorites, thunder, town ambience, and so many more. So for this one, I'm just going to be using natural sounds. I do like this particular instrument on the EXS24. So I've just added sort of the subtle sound of fire, which is bringing like a little bit of ambience and warmth to the song. It also reminds me a little bit of vinyl, which is again used loads in lo-fi hip-hop sounds as well. So throughout all of these audio files, I can put any of them into the EXS24 to create my own instrument. I think it adds a bit more personality to your pieces because you're taking audio files that exist and sort of make them your own. You're adding your own production spin onto your music. It also makes it a lot more personalized and you have a lot more control. A great third-party plugin that is really useful for this technique is Output. You can pay to have your own monthly subscriptions, and I have personally used this one in this track. Let me just open it up for you so you can see what it looks like. So this is Arcade. It allows you to sample vocals and any other instruments, and it comes with a whole bank of instruments that you can use as well. So if we are sampling, you can edit and go into and see the wave formation itself. It allows you to tune it to your song. These are all the effects that you can use within this plugin. I really like it because it allows you to take an audio file and, as I said before, make it your own. It allows you to get the absolute best that you want for your song. I hope that this is really helpful for you guys. These are just, again, some of the techniques that I have learnt myself. I hope you've learned something from this quick tutorial, and remember, you can use these techniques at home on your own mixes. I look forward to hearing what you guys do.
So you've just watched through that tutorial with Abbie. We've got to remember that in what she's just taught you, these are our opinions of what we think sounds good. You can apply these to anything. This isn't a rule book. Bend the rules. That's exactly what you're meant to be doing, and applying them to whatever you think works for you. If there are things that you think are a better way of doing them, we'd love to know what you think. And even if you're someone who did know everything, then maybe it was interesting for you to learn a different workflow from other people, and we really hope you enjoyed this video, whichever way that would be. So thank you very much for watching this tutorial today, and we'll hopefully see you in the future.